Going to be checking out a really cool large vehicle from the new Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. This is the Gyrosphere Blast vehicle. Not only does it transport small dinosaurs, but there's also a surprise. You press the button on the top for a blasting escape of the Gyrosphere. Now this is a pretty big vehicle, so we're going to take our tape measure to find out how big it is. From the very back end, the step stairs, to the very front bumper, you're looking at 15 inches in length. And while we're at it, if we take the measurements from the bottom to the top, we're looking at about 6.5 inches. The vehicle doesn't come with any figures, however it does come with a smaller single-seat gyrosphere. I like how they put a cardboard little standee there of Owen inside. Go ahead and we can pop this open. This one actually does have a hinge, unlike the one that came with Claire. And again, you've got yourself a little Owen. On the other side, it's cardboard. Well, it's cardboard anyways, but it's only printed on the one side. I just left it in there because I thought it would be fun just to show you guys how it comes out of packaging. You can take the elastics off, and it seats one figure inside. So let's grab, I don't know, let's grab an Owen. Have had a couple of these Owens in these last couple of reviews, so we've got some Owens to work with, and we'll just fit him in between. There we go. In between the, he's got these little seatbelt clamps, and you can put his arms on the joysticks. Although because of his hands being very soft plastic, it's almost impossible to get his hands around the joystick. But at the very least, you can see that the seatbelt there, or the clamp, keeps Owen in place. And then you just close it up, and like with every other gyrosphere, it's supposed to, there we go, it's supposed to rotate and balance itself as you spin it around. This one isn't as effective, I would say, as the one that came with Claire. And showing you the size difference between the one that came with Claire and the one that comes with the vehicle here, you can see that they are very drastically different in size. This one, of course, accommodates two figures. This one only accommodates the singular figure. And then this one here, as we already looked at, you have to spin it to pop it off, and you've got the two-seater in here. This one here, you just has a, I rather actually like the fact it's got the hinge. I wish that the one with Claire came with a hinge as well. The seating on the single-seater is much bigger than the one that's the two-seater. It also helps if I spin it the right way. There we go. It is still a little bit bigger, though, than the two-seater here. To the testament, though, of the one that came with Claire, it seems like the one with Claire adjusts accurately. This one here just doesn't seem to balance itself as well. The balancing, the counterbalance on this one definitely is correcting every single time I'm spinning it. Yeah, this one's not so much, though. Unless, I guess, it spins. If you spin it backwards, I guess it does. You spin it this way. Okay, so now it's starting to do it. And see, it's getting stuck a little bit there. Now, I've put Owen inside. You could very easily take Claire as well. There we go. You take Owen out, and we can pop Claire in there. At the time that I'm having a look at the Gyrosphere Blast vehicle, these are the only two figures I have. I have a whole bunch of Owens, but for unique characters, the only two I have right now are Claire and Owen, so I'd like to change that, see if I can pick up some other ones, and of course we'll have a look at those. There's Claire inside. She's a little more trickier to get inside, I guess, because she's a little bit of a smaller frame. And again, you can just close it up, and we'll put it right there. Stay there, Claire, until we have a look at the vehicle, and then I'll show you how the gyrosphere sits inside. But before we do that, let's just close up this gyrosphere and put it to the side. As for the vehicle itself, it's really a large, bulky vehicle. Very surprisingly light, though. It does feel like it's made up of very thin plastic, or not a very thin plastic, but certainly a very light plastic. It's cast in what looks to be a light gray with a dark gray underbelly. And you can see all of that. They've even printed the Jurassic World logo underneath, which is a nice touch. There's nothing really functional from the standpoint of the underside of the underbelly of the vehicle. A majority of the action, so to speak, happens on the top portion here. It's got some really nice details here. You've got the 05 on the top there, and a couple of stickers. Now, I have to stress that these are stickers, so like the headlights here, the top fog lights, if you will, those are stickers. Some sticker application along the side here. Luckily, I didn't have to put any of the stickers on. The stickers were already included. You do have the decal here of the Jurassic World, which is printed to the plastic rather than being a sticker. And a couple little scratches here, dinosaur scratches, scratches on the door. If this is made out of metal, I mean, that would be a considerably sharp claw. We spin it around, and we've got a few little steps. Now, one thing that's good about the vehicle is that there are little peg points. So there are areas in which, as we had looked at with the previous figures, there's not stands for them, but at the very least, there's places where you can put the figure. So say, for example, we'll take Owen here, and we'll line up his feet. I don't suppose you would want to have necessarily him with a wide stance to make use of both peg points. But at the very least, you could technically put 4 figures there, or you could have them slightly stepping up onto the stairwell here. So you could really fit 2 figures very comfortably, or 4 figures more awkwardly. Inside the interior of the vehicle, there's a couple of other peg points. There's one there, and then there's 2 on the side. The graded floor is also a nice touch, and this is a section technically that can hold a dinosaur. Well, the only one I really have of significance or appropriate size is, I suppose, the blue that came included with Owen. I'm going to open up his mouth because I think that looks a lot cooler. And you can put the raptor in the back here. If you had some smaller scale dinosaurs, obviously, that would be the best route to go. You couldn't put necessarily the Carnosaurus, and you certainly couldn't put, well, you know what, let's try it. I have yet to try this. We'll take the very cool Indoraptor. I don't think the well, a little bit. I mean, it's barely holding in there. If they think they're going to be carrying around an Indoraptor via using the blast vehicle here, I think they've probably got another thing coming, and probably would also justify why there's so many large gashes in the sides of the vehicle. So maybe Indoraptor is a little too big to accommodate this particular vehicle. Got also some little peg points on the side step wells, step plates here leading up to the doors. There's 2 on either side. Sadly, the door doesn't seem to open. I mean, it seems like it wants to open, but ultimately, I think it's just a case where it's unhinging from itself. Well, there's the activation feature. At the very least, it would be nice if the door had opened, but to be fair, if we look at the top area here, like there's sections in which characters could fit, but like say for the opening here, you're really only dangling poor Owen from the top area here. There's nothing really for him to hold on to. There's no stepping point, because unfortunately a lot of the vehicle relies on the gimmick, which you kind of already saw a little bit of that happening. So like functional doors, this being an open section, really ultimately doesn't serve much purpose, because again, you're going to be making use of the gimmick. So what exactly is the gimmick? Well, there's a little button on the top here, a little red button. When you press that, the whole front section opens up. And realizing it later as well, the interior also has like a little, I don't know if you would consider it like a little staging area, but there's a couple of little peg points there where you could actually put the figure on there as well. I guess you could pretend like it's a little bit of like a base of operations, but you could take your figures and you can peg them into place there as well. But primarily, the whole feature here is for the gyrosphere. You're going to take the gyrosphere, and if you can see it right there, and there's a couple of peg points. Now this is, again, the strange part about this. There's peg points here, and there's peg points here, but again, I guess unless you're supposed to be using it as, again, like a little headquarters display, it makes very little sense as to why you would put the figures in here. Like, why would I just have them standing there? I guess if you want to have it as a staging area, you could probably, you could put like a raptor in there as well if you want. That's not really necessarily going to fit. But what you're really supposed to do, you're supposed to take the gyrosphere and drop it into place. And it fits basically down these ramp wells here, these rampways, and it sits in the back here. When you close it up, like that, you're basically getting a figure that's driving the vehicle, although ultimately most of it gets forfeited because it is making use of solely the gyrosphere being the gimmick here. So what it does, I'm going to narrate this before I actually do it. I'm going to press the button. This is going to open up, and then the gyrosphere will roll out. And I'm going to kind of put my hand here, because the last thing I want is for it to roll off camera. So I'm going to go ahead and press the button and hope, if we will, that this is successful. And it deploys it. What you probably didn't see as well is that there's this little flipper mechanism that when you press the red button, it flicks it forward like that. So really anything of a round nature would be propelled out from the gyrosphere blast vehicle, and it would shoot its way out the ramp and of course down the front area here, deploying it out. I guess from, if you're playing with it, you could pretend, if anything, that this is almost like an escape. You know, like a little escape pod, so to speak. You know, if the dinosaurs are attacking, you could quickly deploy poor Claire as she rolls away and leaves poor Owen to deal with the dinosaurs. Ultimately, like I said though, the problem with that is the gimmick is so heavily influenced by solely doing what I just finished doing that, as good as this vehicle is, there's really not a lot you can do with it otherwise. What I would have almost loved to have seen is if they had put somehow the launching area here large enough, which you probably would have to raise this a little bit, but have this section be the area where the gyrosphere would have sat, and then here you would have actually still had functioning doors, seats inside where you could actually put the characters, so that it wasn't solely relying on the gyrosphere to work. Say, for example, you do lose this. Say you lose this gyrosphere. Aside from just opening up the door and having the character sitting inside, you really can't, unfortunately, have them driving it, which is, unfortunately, the only thing that I would say is the nitpick to this particular release. To Mattel's credit, at the very least, there are enough connector points that you could put the figures in other places other than the seats. One of the places I forgot to mention, above and beyond the back stairwell and the stairs leading up to the door, is basically right where Blue's standing right now, around that red switch. There's also 2 peg points where you can have the figures standing on top of. So they did try their very best to find areas around the vehicle in which you could display the figures. Unfortunately, the one place where I would have loved to have had them displayed in was inside the actual driver's seats. This is a vehicle that's cool, but unfortunately forfeits some of that by being a vehicle that's heavily influenced by launching a gyrosphere, and unfortunately not just a vehicle that you could have characters riding in. It's nice that you could put the figures on top of things like the stairwell, and when you open up the front section of the vehicle, you can have them kind of standing in there like there's a little operations base happening. But one thing I would have loved, though, is that they could have actually driven the vehicle, which sadly they can't. As a side note, though, I did put Blue in the top there, and he looks hilarious. It looks like he's having just a blast. It looks like it's almost a dog leaning out of a window when you're driving. The wind's blowing in his face. He's loving it. Today, though, we were having a look at the Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. This is the Gyrosphere Blast vehicle. A pretty cool vehicle. Unfortunately, it does have the gimmick kind of ruining a little bit of it. If you guys want to check out some more Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom reviews, there's a playlist on this channel called Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Make sure you hit that little subscribe button down below as well. It'll guarantee that when new videos are coming onto this channel, you'll never miss out. And as always, guys, thanks for watching as you always do. I'll see you next time.